So welcome for the today's class, and the topic which we are going to discuss today and tomorrow. These two topics are one of the most important topics of the entire project management. Why it is so important? I'm going to explain you. Please mute yourself. Okay, so before we start the topic, just will recap what we have studied in the previous class. So previous class we started discussing about the deliverables and the milestones and how important each and every deliverable, whether it is an intermediate deliverable or maybe a small deliverable, each and every deliverable in a project plays a key role. And a few projects, unless until the deliverable one is delivered, we cannot start deliverable two, isn't it? And few projects, they start executing the projects parallelly. Maybe in one area or one location one deliverable is delivered, in another location another deliverable, isn't it? So we also discussed the various strategies regarding the deliverables, and after that immediately we started what is a milestone, isn't it? And when a deliverable will become an executable thing means when it is associated with a date, isn't it? Every milestone is associated with a date, and every milestone helps the project manager to track the status of the project. And every milestone has a zero duration, because it starts with nothing, because we know the starting date, but at that time we doesn't focus on the finishing time. So it starts with the end with the zero duration, and that what we discussed in the previous class. And for the today's class, the important topic is project life cycle. So friends, as a human being, every human being has a life cycle, isn't it? Because as a human being, we go through the various phases of the life cycle, isn't it? From day one, from the child comes out of the mother womb, the day one starts, isn't it? So every human being will go through the various phases, isn't it? For example, from mother womb, we call it as a child age, stage one. Next, slowly the child will enters into the teenage, and from teenage to the adult age to the middle age, and middle age to the old age, isn't it? And at the end, that person's life is going to be end. This is how the human life cycle is all about, isn't it? So exactly like in human life cycle, every project, whether you are doing a small project or maybe a big project, whether you are doing a software project or maybe an electrical or electronics based project or maybe an IoT based project, whatever the project may be, whatever the nature of the project may be, the important point what you need to understand, it will go through a cycle. So every project will go through the cycle, and we call those cycle as phases, isn't it? So the project life cycle will go through the various phases, from starting phase one to the end phase, isn't it? So, and in the coming slides, I'll explain what are those various phases. Now, the next question comes: why this project life cycle is very important from the project manager point of view? Yes, it is very important, because the project life cycle is designed, structured, designed to help the project manager to understand or to analyze the project process from starting to the end, isn't it? So the important purpose is it helps to understand how it will go through the various phases and what are the various decisions we need to take at the each and every stage of the project life cycle. And not only that, it also facilitates the project manager in assigning the roles and the task to the project team members, isn't it? It helps in assigning the task, who is going to work and how many people or how many employees are going to work in my project, and what are the various stages they are going to work in the project. It also identified by the project life cycle. So this is the importance of why as a electrical engineer or why as an engineer I should study the project manager. Tomorrow, once you get a job, you are in a project. So what you need to do? You need to follow the structure, isn't it? So without knowing what is the structure and how the life cycle will move, so it becomes difficult in executing your project. Or you doesn't know where you need to start your project and where you need to end the project, because a project consists of a starting date and a end date, isn't it? And every starting and end date, there are deliverables, there are milestones, isn't it? So friends, this is what the introduction of the project life cycle. But before a project life cycle starts, friends, I would like to explain product life cycle. So friends, don't confuse here. We have two life cycles. One is project life cycle and second one is product life cycle. So before we start the project life cycle, I am going to explain product life cycle, PLC, isn't it? So for easy understanding, I have named it the product life cycle as PLC, and project life cycle I have not given any abbreviation or like that, isn't it? So don't confuse, sir, what is the purpose why we need to go with the product life cycle? Friends, you remember one thing, at the end of the day, at the end of the project, either you are delivering a product or service. Means at the end of the day, all your 50 members of the team in a project, you are working very hard only to deliver your deliverables. And that deliverable may be for civil engineer, a big apartment, isn't it? For electronic and electrical students, you are doing an electrical or electronic based project, isn't it? For an automobile engineer, they are delivering a car, a four-wheeler, isn't it? So it differs from company to company. But whatever the things you are delivering, we are calling that tangible things as product, isn't it? So you are in the project life cycle, but what you are developing, you are developing either a product or service, either tangible or intangible. Example, you are developing a website for a company, isn't it? So what I'll call it as a service life cycle, isn't it? And if you are manufacturing, for example, tomorrow you will get a government job and you are working in an electricity department. Assume that you are working as a the electricity engineer in a maybe NPDCL or maybe what I called as the electrical department in the country. Assume that, isn't it? And what you are doing, you are producing the electricity, isn't it? One engineers are working for the production part, another engineers are working in the service area, isn't it? So as an electrical engineer, you are doing both, isn't it? So producing electricity, either maybe thermal electricity or maybe an hydroelectricity, isn't it? And whatever the electricity is produced there, what you are doing, another people or some other group of people, they are distributing, isn't it? They are doing service, isn't it? So you are as an electrical engineer working in a government organization, you are involved in the production of the electricity, and not only that, you are also distributing that electricity, isn't it? So those are, both are deliverables. Production is a deliverable and service is also deliverable. So for that purpose, what you need to understand is, before we start the project life cycle, we need to understand the product life cycle. So first we go for the today's class, what is product life cycle, and in the next continuous class, I'll explain what is project life cycle. And purpose why we are studying means, if I doesn't study the product life cycle, I cannot go with the project life cycle, because they both are interlinked and interdependent, because we are delivering a product. Production of the electricity is a product, distribution is a service, isn't it? Because as an individual customer, I am using electricity, isn't it? So for me, electricity is a service, isn't it? But for an engineers who are producing it, for them it is a product, isn't it? So product is produced and used by the customer like me, isn't it? And friends, for today's class, I would like to start with the product life cycle and what this product life cycle is all about. Right. So friends, watch this diagram carefully. Every product life cycle on the earth or on the universe, they go through these stages. Like just now in the beginning of the class, I said every human being will go through the various phases. Take example, people who are living in America. You think that they have a different life cycle? No, because all the human beings on the earth, isn't it? They go through the similar life cycle because they should come from the mother womb, isn't it? And every kid should have a child age, next to teenage, middle age, old age, and now it's time to perish from the society. Means the person will die, isn't it? This is the life cycle. Whether you are a person living in America, are you living in UK, whether you are living in Hyderabad or the place wherever you are living, the life cycle is same, isn't it? So exactly, if we talk about a product, whether as an engineer you are developing a product in America, the life cycle is same. Whether as an engineer you are developing a project in India, the project life cycle is same, isn't it? So project life cycle is the division or the structure which divided into four different phases or four different steps, isn't it? So if you see the diagram, friends, you can see in the picture that the first stage of the project life cycle is introduction stage, isn't it? The first stage is introduction stage, and coming to the second stage, growth stage, isn't it? So second phase of the product life cycle is a growth stage, and coming to the third stage, it is a maturity stage, isn't it? And coming to the last stage, decline. So you see the diagram how the curve is, isn't it? The curve looks like a bell shaped. So friends, you remember this point. The product life cycle looks like a bell shaped curve, isn't it? And this bell shaped curve consists of how many stages or how many phases? Four phases. First one, introduction phase. Second one, growth phase. Third one is a maturity, and fourth one is a decline. Why these four stages are important, and what happens in stage one? What are the things which will take place at the growth stage? What happens at the maturity decline? We will discuss one by one. So friends, in X and Y axis, you see that there is a time and there is a sales also, isn't it? So these four phases we are taking on X and Y axis. One is a time, isn't it? Another one is a sales. Means how the sales are going to be there at introduction stage. What is the time? How the product sales are going to be there at the growth stage, and how at maturity, how at decline. And please compare this with your project life cycle, because whenever you are doing a project and that project falls here, isn't it? So your project will come either at introduction stage, or your project may come at your project may be at introduction stage, or maybe your project may be at growth stage, or maybe maturity or decline, isn't it? Because all the projects which are running currently in India or maybe any part of the world, isn't it? They are either at the introduction stage or maybe at any stage, isn't it? So that I'm going to explain with what are the things which will take place at the introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. So friends, please remember, you need to remember all these four stages, because tomorrow whether you are working in a government organization or maybe a private organization, you are in a project, isn't it? And every project, whatever the project assigned to you, either a project there in an introduction stage or maybe growth, maturity or decline. That as an individual, as a project manager, you should know that, isn't it? And before we move to the next the detailed discussion about the various stages. So I like to go with the first poll for the today. The first poll question. Okay, I'm closing the poll. Most of you have given the right answer. So 77% of the class has given the right answer. Very good. Please, friends, remember that, because tomorrow, if you are in a project, it means your duty is to track, isn't it? Track the status, how the work is going on, how the work is in progress. So these milestones really help you to track the status. And 70% of the students, they have given the right answer. And now we'll go to the topic. So friends, so please remember, every project is linked with your product, because that is your end deliverable. So to understand the project life cycle, so first what we have been going to discuss, we are going to discuss the product life cycle, and all the products across the universe will go through the various phases. And we just also thinking that it is looks like a bell shaped curve, isn't it? You see that what are the various stages, we'll discuss one by one. And please, those who have not received the poll, you can type your rule number. And one more poll is also there. Right. So, stage 1, isn't it? What happens at stage 1? Because introduction stage, the diagram says that simply how the diagram looks like. It is, isn't it? Even the diagrams looks like this. This is the introduction stage, isn't it? And this stage we are calling it as an introduction, isn't it? So what happens at introduction stage? Why is this introduction stage so important to us, isn't it? So introduction means, friends, simply remember, when for the first time, when a product or service introduces or launches into the market, isn't it? You as a project manager, you are developing a product or service, and when you are launching a project, what it indicates? You are at the introduction stage. So friends, you see this here, what is the introduction stage is all about? Introducing a product into the market, isn't it? So try to remember every product, isn't it? Today we are using Apple mobile, but on day 1, the Apple mobile has introduced into the market, isn't it? In today we are using n number of products, isn't it? We are using many products, but on day 1, it is there in the introduction stage. And what is the introduction stage of all the products across the globe? Is the introduction, or how a movie is introduced with a hero, isn't it? The movie, because we go to see your favorite hero or heroine movies, when a hero introduction there, so everybody feels thrilled. isn't it? Exactly the same way, every company launches its product for the first time, and we call that first stage as introduction stage, isn't it? So, and what happens at introduction stage? Now the question comes, sir, okay, very good. Our company has launched a new product or new service into the market. What happens? How the things are there at the introduction stage? Because this stage is one of the important stage, friends. Introduction stage is one of the difficult and important stage, because your product is not known to anybody, because you are new, isn't it? Long back, when Apple was introduced by the Steve Jobs, nobody knows about Apple, isn't it? Nobody knows about Apple, isn't it? And I'll narrate a small story here. Apple. So, do you know how the Apple got its name? Anybody? How the Apple got its apple as a name? Why not pineapple? Why not banana? Why the Steve Jobs has kept Apple? Anybody knows the story behind it?
Don't know.
Newton sat under garden and fallen off.
That
That is
Apple
Newton.
Samsung
Newton's
is
law.
half part.
Yes,
Samsung is half part and Apple is another half part.
Apple is half, and another.
Samsung.
A for apple.
No,
Samsung.
no, 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 no. I'm asking a question. Why the Steve Jobs has kept this his company name as Apple, isn't it? So I'll explain within 2 minutes. What actually, when there is a meeting going on at the company, isn't it? They don't know what the company name, isn't it? And there is a meeting going on with his team members, and as when and the boardroom, every member, as we know that when the meeting is going on, they'll offer tea, coffee, and also some fruits, isn't it? And on each and every table, they kept an apple, isn't it? And the meeting is going on, and they are discussing what is the company name, how the company's name is going to be, how we are going to launch our new product into the market. So everybody is thinking the company name, isn't it? And even everybody is also suggesting different names. Sir, we'll go with this name, that name, isn't it? And Steve Jobs, suddenly he observed one person, the apple is kept. The person who is in the team has eaten that apple, and he has placed that apple on the table, isn't it? Because the apple is offered to as a snack item to them, isn't it? And one of the member has eaten the apple, and they have kept it on the table. And suddenly Steve Jobs, an idea flashed into the minds of the Steve Jobs, and immediately he named his company. My company name is an apple, and it is my logo. That's it. So that is the reason, friends. Apple logo is an half-eaten apple, isn't it? Because that idea of the name came from there in a room, and nobody has thought that the Apple logo is going to be an half-eaten one, isn't it? It's not Newton's law, or it's not something else, isn't it? So suddenly the name came, and what he kept suddenly, my company name is an apple, and this is my logo. And friends, you may also observe that Apple company never write APPLE Apple on any of their products. Have you seen any product of original Apple? Have they written Apple? No. You will see only the half-eaten apple. And if you are seeing half-eaten apple and below that APPLE Apple means it's China Apple. It's not an American Apple. Isn't it? Simple, isn't it? So, because Apple company is promoting its Apple products only with logo, and that is the most trustable product today. But friends, why I am giving this example means simple. When it started, it is zero. Friends, you see the diagram. When Apple started its journey, it's zero, because nobody knows what Apple is all about, isn't it? Nobody knows. Please, those who doesn't get the poll, you have a second poll, as well as you plus please type your rule number in the chat box. I'll consider it, no problem. But please listen the class. So when it started the journey, when Apple started the journey, friends, this is what the introduction stage. Nobody knows. I'm not talking about the Apple position right now, isn't it? Now the Apple is in a different state, isn't it? And all the products, whatever we are using today, isn't it? All are once upon a time at introduction stage, isn't it? Nobody knows. So what you need to do when you launch a product, what you need to do, promote, isn't it? And companies will spend crores of rupees, lakhs of rupees on promoting the product or service, isn't it? Because your product is not known to the world, outside world. You are zero, isn't it? You are starting your journey with zero. What you need to think, promote your product. Advertise in the newspaper, print media, electronic media, go on social media marketing, Facebook, Twitter, isn't it? Insta. Use whatever the platform you have and you promote the product, isn't it? Because your product is not known, isn't it? And the next thing what you need to do is money spent to create some awareness. What is your product? What is the uses of the product? Isn't it? That these the things will take place at the introduction stage, isn't it? And the most difficult stage is introduction stage, because if you are not executing your product in introduction stage, if you are not promoting, then you are at risk. So friends, I just shown that this is the life cycle of the product. But I'm also showing one more important point. All the product life cycles are not bell shaped, isn't it? Whatever the products we are seeing in our daily life is not looks like a bell shaped curve. It doesn't go through all the stages. Few products on the earth, they will perish in the middle of the life cycle, isn't it? Take the classic example, Tata Nano, isn't it? Do you think that Nano has all the stages? No, isn't it? What the Nano life cycle is something different, isn't it? Because Nano has introduced and it has gone for only up to here. So you see the diagram, Nano, Tata Nano has introduced and it has growth, isn't it? And from growth, it has fall down, isn't it? Immediately, there is a decline. So friends, why I am giving this example, but Apple is not like that, isn't it? So Tata Nano introduced the product, isn't it? It slowly entered into the growth stage, but from growth, it has fallen down, isn't it? So because nobody is preferring the product right now. So now what the stage right now, it is a decline. It is already almost it is in coma. Almost it is on just like a COVID patient on ventilation, isn't it? So friends, Apple life cycle is different, Nano life cycle is different, isn't it? And some other X product is different. So all the life cycles, there it doesn't give a guarantee that all will go through this all the phases. I cannot say all the product life cycles are same. That you need to understand, isn't it? All the successful products will have a long journey, but few life cycles will perish either at first stage or maybe at the second stage. So what you need to be very, very careful that introduction stage is very, very important. Because if you have not introduced your product into the market, if you have not created awareness, if you have not promoted your product through advertisements, if you are not giving any offers, isn't it? For example, you have seen many stores and many companies, when they introduce for the first time, they'll give more offers and more discounts. Isn't it? Why they are doing all these giving offers and discounts? Only to promote their product and to stay in the market, isn't it? So introduction stage is the most difficult stage. So friends, and the next point comes, can the company generate revenue or profits at introduction stage? No, not at all. So at introduction stage here, friends, the sales are just started, but there are zero profits, isn't it? At introduction stage, the sales just started because people start slowly identifying, okay, this is an A new mobile has been launched into the market. It looks good, its features are good, and the price is also very economical. So people start slowly identifying, isn't it, recognizing your product or your brand. So sales slowly started, but profits are zero. So sales are started, profits are zero, means which stage? Your product is at the introduction stage. And if you are doing excellent job, if your strategies are very focused, then slowly chances are there your product will go to second stage. And what is that second stage, friends? Growth stage. And growth stage is the most difficult stage, because if you are not surviving at stage 2, then you will die. Just like how the nano has died in phase 2, isn't it? So n number of products are there. I can give many examples. Most of the products has died at the growth stage. Even we can't remember the products which are entered into growth, and in between growth and introduction they died, isn't it? I'll give one more example. How many of you know the LML scooter? Because if I talk about the scooter category, we only remember Bajaj, isn't it? Because the Bajaj has started its career with the scooter manufacturing, and Bajaj Automobile and Bajaj Chetak is the most successful scooter in India. And those are days, friends, when Bajaj Chetak is introduced into the market. People has fallen down to, or people has fallen in love with that particular Chetak scooter, and they feel it as a status symbol. If I have a Bajaj Chetak in my home, so my family social status increases. At that time, long back, some maybe 80 to 90 years back, where the people will love to have the scooter in their house, isn't it? And which scooter? Only Bajaj Chetak, isn't it? And slowly the Bajaj Chetak has, with the strategy they introduced well, and also they entered into the growth stage, and they are between the growth and the maturity level. What happens? The competitors enters into the market. So friends, in the growth stage, what is the most difficult task for any company is the competitors enters into the market, isn't it? And the competitors will create some disturbance in the market. Competitors will create some disturbance in the market, where the companies will change the strategy. So as far as Bajaj is concerned, LML company, LML Indian company has entered into the market with an international based company, Vespa, isn't it? And right now, friends, even most of the Indian girls, they are preferring Vespa. But when Vespa, when first time it has introduced with a collaboration with LML company. Vespa is not the company which is new to Indian market. Already Vespa is there long back, and we remember only by LML Vespa. So what this LML Vespa, they introduce a new scooter into the market in competition with Bajaj Chetak, isn't it? So friends, you see, once you are entering into the market means the competitors will see, okay, there is a growth, isn't it? Or I'll give simple example. In your colony or in your apartment, a person started a small kirana shop, isn't it? And if the kirana shop is running well, it is people are coming more and they are getting more benefit. Immediately, the people observe the things, and some more, two or more other kirana shops established in that area, because competition. So people see that if there is a growth in one sector, so people start introducing their product into the market. So the competition increases. So friends, what happens in the second stage? You see the diagram here. Slowly your product, you see the curve here. It has been growing, isn't it? So slowly this curve started growing, isn't it? So slowly it is moving, isn't it, friends? You see, it is moving. And why it is moving? The only reason is you are good in introduction stage. People started identifying your product, isn't it? And people start not only identifying, they also love your product and they start buying. So due to that, you have slowly entered into the growth stage. And once you are in the growth stage means competition increases, isn't it? So friends, competition is one of the most important tasks every company has to look after, isn't it? And this is where the growth stage competition increases. And not only that, you need to improve your distribution, isn't it? Because more money you need to spend here, isn't it? And sometimes you need to do some modifications also, isn't it? Because your competitor, I'll give one more example. When the Reliance company is there in the market, when Airtel is there in the market, when the Hutch company, right now we are calling it as a Vodafone, but earlier we used to call it as an Hutch, isn't it? When all the big companies, even BSNL, all these mobile operators are there in the market, Tata Docomo company, they launched their network into the market, isn't it? Because all these companies are at the growth stage, isn't it? So Tata company is an Indian company, Docomo company is an foreign company, isn't it? So two company has introduced with a new strategy, isn't it? Because big competitors are in the market. Airtel is there, Reliance is there, BSNL is there, Hutch is there. So there are big operators in the market. As a new entry, I should do something unique or I should go with a new strategy, isn't it? Because if you want to grow into high level, you should have always think creatively and innovative, isn't it? If you are not creative and innovative, and always we talk about think out of the box, isn't it? If you are not thinking out of the box, you will die. The company and products will die at the first stage or maybe at the second stage. So what this Docomo has done, nobody has done earlier. They introduced the seconds system, isn't it? But before Tata Docomo, friends, all the Airtel, Hutch and BSNL, they charged the mobile charges on minute basis. For 1 minute, so and so price. For 2 minutes, so and so price. And Tata Docomo is the first company introduced with the seconds system, isn't it? If I talk with my friend for 30 seconds, I'll pay only 30 seconds amount, isn't it? So, and this strategy has been successfully launched into the market, and people start realizing, okay, it's a good strategy. Yes, I understand. If I talk for 50 seconds or 15 seconds, so why I should pay for 1 minute? So isn't it? Do you understand? If I call to my friend, hello friend, how are you? Isn't it? Everything is fine. So hardly 30 seconds. So for 30 seconds of the chat between you and your friend, why I should pay for 1 minute? Isn't it? And that difference has been clearly shown to the consumers, and slowly consumers start thinking, yes, whatever the Tata Docomo says, right, I only pay for 30 seconds. Why I should pay for 1 minute? Simple. So what started? Slowly people started believing Tata Docomo company, and they start shifting or moving, because at that time, friends, there is no number portability, isn't it? If I want to go for another network, I need to go for the another SIM, isn't it? So people start using the Docomo network, and Docomo for some 5 to 6 years, the Docomo company has successful company, because of only the important strategy which they adapted was the seconds billing, isn't it? And later all the companies, Airtel, Hutch, BSNL or Reliance, all the company has followed the same strategy. So they removed the 1 minute billing, and they also started the seconds per minute, isn't it? How many seconds you are talking per minute? They started changing their strategy. So friends, growth stage is one of the important stage, and it is the most difficult stage. Difficult stage than introduction, because introduction stage is just and introduce it, but growth stage is giving the life to stand, isn't it? To stand in the market, what is the important stage? You need to go through growth, isn't it? So growth stage, you need to do some techniques. You need to add some important features to your product, isn't it? And I'll give one more example. Even companies will change their strategy even at maturity also. I'll give the classic example of even Apple. Even though Apple is the most successful product on the earth, Apple has some disadvantages. All the companies, when they are changing their screen size to 6 inches or maybe above the 6 or above 5.5 inches of the mobile screen, Apple has not changed it, isn't it? Even though it is the most successful product in the market, people blindly, they by closing their eyes, they can recognize Apple, isn't it? But that company has been faced with the tough competition from other mobile operators like Samsung or maybe some other China models, isn't it? So what is the biggest disadvantage is the Apple mobile, the screen size is below 5 inches, isn't it? But friends, Apple also identified, no, if we want to stay in the market, we need to change ourselves. So immediately they also increased the screen size, isn't it? Friends, competitors. Why I am giving all these examples means competitors will change the entire project, isn't it? Sometimes the competitors always help you. Competitors will help you. Sometimes competitors will throw you a challenge, isn't it? So always competition is there. And in growth stage, competitor is very, very important. So try to focus more on the competitor. And not only that, identify new market, isn't it? In the growth stage, what you need to do, due to the competition, you need to identify the new areas you need to launch and new locations you need to spread your business, isn't it? If you, I'll give one more example. Everybody knows about Horlicks, isn't it? Horlicks is the most successful drink in Indian market, isn't it? And when Horlicks has launched its introduction drink to the market, it has only one flavor, isn't it? So what it has done immediately due to the competition from other complaint or maybe some boost and other competitors, what it has done, it has added flavors, isn't it? They have added some badam flavor to it, isn't it? It has added some more ingredients or more features to increase the
Saffron flavor.
isn't it? All these flavors, why they are adding means to stay in the market. If I doesn't add, my competitor will add and people will slowly shift to the competitor product, isn't it? So friends, as a project manager, if you are involved in a project means you need to understand how the market is changing. So friends, if you adapt a right strategy at the introduction stage, and it will move to the growth stage. And if you are good in the growth stage, isn't it? So here slowly it is moving, isn't it? So the arrow is moving upwards. So, and if your strategies are good, if your plans are good, slowly after a long period, it will enter into maturity, isn't it? And maturity is what the most of the product. Now, the Apple is at maturity. Horlicks is at maturity, isn't it? All the most successful product what we are using today, they are the at the maturity stage. So friends, what this maturity is all about. So till now, friends, it is clear that what is introduction stage, because when a product is introduced into the market, no one knows about your product, but create awareness, spend a lot of money on advertisement, isn't it? And give more offers, more discounts. And if your strategy works, slowly you are enter into the growth stage. And growth stage is the most difficult stage which you need to understand, because competitors enters into the market, and if the competition increases, automatically your company performance also increases, isn't it? Due to Geo, isn't it? One more example, due to Geo entered into the market, total internet charges and all the call charges has been decreased. Now they are, even due to Geo, even all the companies has given free outgoing also, isn't? So competition is the most difficult thing you need to understand. And before we go to the next stage, we have the second course for today. Please, if you doesn't get the poll, type your rule number. So those who have not attempted the first poll, please attempt the second one. Okay, I'm closing. Okay, I'm sharing the results. But 72% of the class has given wrong answer. Because breaking all the deliverables into pieces are small deliverables. The name itself says that, isn't it? And blindly you have kept the answer. So breaking the deliverables into small pieces, isn't it? So the 32% has given only the right answer and 72% of the class has given wrong answer. So please friends, intermediate deliverables are big deliverables, isn't it? Making a prototype is an intermediate deliverable. But what are the small deliverables? Breaking the deliverable activities into small pieces, isn't it? So the right answer is small deliverable, isn't it? So friends, so coming to the topic, so introduction stage is the when introduced into the market, and the growth stage is the most difficult stage, isn't it? And the third and the important stage of the project life cycle is, sorry, product life cycle is maturity, isn't it? And the maturity stage, because it takes some 10 minutes to explain. So what I'll do is I'll stop for today because maturity and we have a decline. So please friends, remember the diagram for the class, and what you need to remember is every project life cycle, every product life cycle will go through a different phases, and all the product life cycle have four important stages: introduction stage, growth stage, maturity stage, decline stage. And what happens at the introduction stage means, introduction stage is a stage where when a new product introduced into the market, and at that time the sales just started beginning and profits are zero, isn't it? And if your strategies and your plan is very good, then slowly it will go to the growth stage. And growth stage, competition increases. People start entering into the market with the same product or with the same services, isn't it? And because competition increases, and due to that competition, you need to do some modification or your changes. I'll give one example. When Swiggy and Zomato, the both companies, when they introduced their delivery network, there is no tracking system. Earlier, there is no tracking system in the Swiggy and Zomato, the service delivery providers. So later, due to the competition, they added a new feature, isn't it? You can track your order, isn't it? Just like a bike person who is coming nearer to your destination, isn't it? They added a new feature to that. So friends, remember, growth stage, you need to do some lot of strategies. You need to add some flavors, play some tricks. Because if you are in the growth stage means you need to be there in the growth stage for long period. Because maturity period is nothing but you are nearer to your last position. So always growth is and maturity in between that stage is very, very important. And I would like to stop for the today's class. And in tomorrow's class, we'll discuss what is maturity and what is a decline, isn't it? So please remember this diagram. And once I'll finish because this is the last topic of your second unit, and most probably I'll try to complete it the next class. If it doesn't complete, we will go with the next week also. And so thank you very much for the today's class. Again, we'll meet in the next class tomorrow. Thank you very much.